Spain. 3 Spanish cities. 3 completely different answers to one question. And only one of them is the answer most people would expect. This is the story of where a country chose to keep its power. One city was invented for it. One grew rich on it. And one, when the power was gone, simply sold what was left. So here's the question to sit with, all the way through. Which one is the real Spain? The city that was invented, the city that got rich, or the city that gave up and got famous? Hold that. We'll come back to it. When you picture Spain, you probably picture a feeling. Sun on old stone, a guitar somewhere, a long lunch that turns into a long afternoon, passion, color, romance, the postcard. But a country isn't built out of feelings. It's built out of decisions. Somebody, at some point, decided where the power would sit, where the money would flow, and what each place would become. Those decisions are usually invisible. We just inherit the result and call it character. This is the story of 3 of those decisions. 3 Spanish cities and the cold, deliberate choices that made them. And almost none of it is romantic. Madrid, look at it now. A capital like any other. Grand avenues, a royal palace, the confident center of a modern country. It looks like it was always meant to be here. It wasn't. For most of its history, Spain had no fixed capital at all. The royal court simply moved from city to city, wherever the king happened to be. Power traveled in the saddlebags. Then, in 1561, Philip II stopped moving. And of all the great cities he could have chosen, Toledo, Valladolid, Seville, each with centuries of weight behind it, he chose Madrid. A small, dusty town on the high central plateau. No real river, no industry, no history worth the name. His own father, the Emperor Charles V, is said to have warned that choosing Madrid was how a man lost a kingdom. Philip chose it anyway. And here's the part most people miss. He chose it because it was empty. A city with no power of its own, no great noble houses to challenge him, no merchant guilds with their own agenda, no rival church authority. Every other capital came with people who already mattered, who expected a say. Madrid came with no one, a blank slate, so Philip built the heart of a global empire on that blank slate, precisely because it was blank, power with nothing underneath it to push back, and you can still feel that decision in the city today. Madrid doesn't grow outward from one ancient core the way an organic city does. It radiates from a center that was placed there, deliberately, by a single man's will. The great squares, the long straight avenues, the royal palace sitting where the old fortress stood. It's a city arranged around power because power is the only reason it exists. Other cities became capitals. Madrid was commanded to be one. There's a strange honesty in that. Most capitals dress up their origins in destiny and myth. Madrid can't. Its origin story is a king pointing at an empty map and saying, "Here, because no one here can argue with me." The empire he built would eventually fall, but Madrid, the city invented to serve it, never did. It's still the capital. The decree outlived the thing it was decreed for. Madrid was where Spain kept its power. Far to the south, on a slow, brown, unhurried river, was where Spain counted it. Seville. Today it's orange trees and tiled courtyards, the heat coming up off the stone, a river you'd barely look at twice. But for 2 centuries, every ounce of gold and silver that came out of the New World had to pass through this one inland town, a long way from the open sea. From 1503, the Spanish crown handed Seville something no city had ever held, a complete monopoly on trade with the Americas. Every ship bound for the New World left from here. Every ship that came back, heavy with treasure, was required by law to dock here, nowhere else. There was no second door. And the choice of an inland city was deliberate. Not an accident, not tradition. A river port, far up the Guadalquivir, was defensible. No enemy fleet could simply sail in and take it. And it was controllable. One way in, one way out, and the crown's officials standing at the only gate, taxing everything that moved through it. So for 200 years, the wealth of 2 entire continents flowed up that single river to this single city. The Torre del Oro still stands on the bank, the tower beside which the treasure fleets tied up and unloaded. Seville became, for a while, the richest city in Spain, the throat of an empire. Everything had to pass through it. And then, Here's the cruelty of it. The very thing that made Seville rich is what destroyed it. The river. The Guadalquivir slowly silted up. Year by year, it grew shallower, harder to navigate, until the great ocean-going ships simply couldn't reach the city anymore. In 1717, the crown gave up and moved the whole operation downstream to the coast, to Cádiz. The inland river had been Seville's great defense and its great trap. The strength was the flaw. The choke point that made it the richest city in Spain choked itself. Madrid willed its power out of nothing. Seville held the whole empire by the throat until its own river turned on it. The third city watched all of that and did something neither of them ever imagined. It stopped reaching for empire altogether, and it sold the only thing it had left. Malaga, this is the coast the whole of Europe flies to. The Costa del Sol, the coast of the sun. Hotels, beaches, 300 days a year of guaranteed light. The most famous coastline in Spain, except that name is barely 100 years old. And it's a marketing decision. For centuries, the people who actually lived here called this coast something else entirely. The Costa del Viento, the windy coast. Because the wind that comes off the Strait of Gibraltar is real and constant, and anyone who fished these waters knew it. Then, in the early 20th century, the tourists started to come, and someone realized the wind was a problem. The wind was a hard sell. Nobody books a holiday on the windy coast, but the sun was 300 days a year, so they simply rewrote the map. The Costa del Viento became the Costa del Sol. One word changed. Wind became sun. And with that single word, a string of poor fishing villages became a destination an entire continent would build its summers around. The place didn't change, the light didn't change, the wind is still there. Only the name changed. And the name was everything. It may be the most successful place name rebrand in the world. A city that had no empire, no monopoly, no royal decree, and reinvented itself anyway, out of nothing but a better word. And think about what that actually took. Madrid had a king's command, Seville had a crown monopoly and the gold of 2 continents. Malaga had neither. No power was ever handed to it. What it had was a coast that, for centuries, people endured rather than enjoyed. And the nerve to describe it as something else. To look at the same wind, the same water, the same poor fishing villages, and choose a different word for them. That's not conquest. It's not trade. It's storytelling, the cheapest power of all and maybe the most durable. Because the empires that ruled by decree and monopoly are gone. But the Costa del Sol fills its hotels every single summer, running still on a sentence somebody wrote 100 years ago. And 3 cities. Madrid willed power into being on an empty plain and outlived the empire it was built to serve. Seville monopolized the wealth of 2 continents until the river that made it rich silted up and abandoned it. And Malaga, with no power left to hold, changed a single word and conquered Europe a second time, with deck chairs. Here's what strikes me about the 3 of them together. Not one of them won by being beautiful. Madrid won by being empty. Seville won by being a bottleneck. Malaga won by being honest about the weather and lying about the wind. Spain is supposed to be a country of passion and postcards. And the truth is, these 3 cities were built on decree, on tax, and on advertising. And every one of them is still standing. The empire that connected them, the thing all that power was for, is centuries dead. The cities are still here, which tells you something about power and place. Power is temporary. It moves, it silts up, it gets renamed. The place is what stays. So, back to where we started. Which one is the real Spain? The one that was invented out of nothing? The one that got rich and lost it? Or the one that gave up the whole game and got famous anyway? I have my answer. I'm genuinely not sure it's the right one. I'm Beyondia, one touch away. Travel, learn, grow. I'll see you at the next place. Subscribe to GoBeyondia.